Greetings, everybody. I'm Scott Rodell here in Essex, UK. I'm being joined by Gavin King, and we're doing another one of our historical what-ifs, this sort of Jian versus the world. So we're looking at this time set in the Opium War. How would have a Chinese Jianke fought a British soldier armed with a brown bess with a bayonet? And of course, we know that historically speaking, this did happen repeatedly during the Opium Wars. So we want to see how would this have really worked? Who has the advantages, disadvantages? And of course, you might have caught some of the training videos that we did in preparation for this. So we're going to really put it to the test this time and see how this goes. I'm, of course, using my cutting Jian as a dull edge, but it definitely has a bit of an edge to it, you could say. And we've had this India Pattern Brown Bess made that is about 3/4 the weight of a proper historical brown bess. One thing that's a little different is that the bayonet does give, it's spring-loaded, so should I be hit, it hopefully won't be too bad. So let's put it to the test and see how it goes. You ready, Gav?
Yep.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun and interesting. On my side, fighting Gavin was very different than the people I trained with before. He came in much deeper. I never, got a nice P cut into the head in any of my training sessions. So that was
me as well.
Right. Yes. Well, yeah, no, it comes down to who gets that first hit, right? I mean, in these exchanges, sometimes Gav got me, sometimes I got him. And there were times when I hit that hand and he followed through. I got a couple in the armpit that I was like, oh man, because that's a definitely a lethal jab, and goes away, goes into the body, would really end you. So I was like, you can't really think obviously in the bout, but in that moment, I wonder if I would have stopped him with that cut. And who knows? And also, I think what's noticed really different is you tended to come more to this side, tried to pin my arm, and none of my other sessions did I manage to get around that way. I always had to turn this way to turn in, to get in, to move in. But in this one, I was getting around this way a bit more. I practiced it, but I never had to do it in a bout.
I was watching your practice.
You watched my practice?
You were sliding down the outside, so I was pinning that arm.
So it kept me going,
Because that's the vulnerable hand on a... So if
I get that one, right? Yeah.
So I was pinning that shoulder
trying to pin it down. But then let me get in the other side. So it's interesting to see. It all comes down to, of course, waist is really the commander, and I could get my feet to move sometimes and slide in and get close. So same general idea, use my waist, get off the line, deflect and get in. But getting in the other way around, the other side. What do you think, Gav?
I come in too deep. The first couple of exchanges we had, I was overzealous on that, so I was just holding back, getting you just to bite a little bit, flick to the sword, and then come through. I do think on most of those, if I was ramming through, you probably would have got my arm, but just the momentum would.
Right, that's always the question on these things, right? In any bout, you wonder I got him with the momentum. I don't know, because I always think there's got to be a pain reaction that makes your body stop, but who knows?
This
I mean, you know.
Heavy, and considering this is only 3/4, we've got another quarter to go on top of this. That going forward.
Right. By the way, David Santos made us this. This is his prototype. Thank you, David. Really appreciate it. I appreciated that this was springy, so that a couple times he tagged me, it didn't go through me. But also, I mean, sorry, David, we put a lot of real nicks. Look at those nicks in there.
That was right near my hand as well.
So a couple, you can see how that really, really. Now, of course, I wanted to get in deep to slow them down, so you can really see. This is there's a dull edge, I would say, on this sword, so you can see really cutting in. Oh yeah, we got a nice split. So hitting it really hard. Yeah, I wanted to also ask you, because this is what, about 3/4 the weight of a.
3/4 weight.
Right. So this was based on a Brown Bess, the India model Brown Bess, which was the one that was used in China. Because what we're doing here, of course, is thinking what would have happened during the Opium War when Jianke might have faced a British soldier, and we know that definitely happened. So we want to see how would that have gone. So this is to be a model of that, or replica, or training, we could say. But it's really pretty heavy, 3/4 the weight of a real one. But what did you think about that?
I've handled the original, an antique
actual
version,
one,
which is a little bit heavier, but it's still got that same mass coming through. What was really interesting is this is nothing like a spear. The spear is a lot lighter and more mobile. I think a spear would be much harder for the Jianke.
For me, yeah, on my side, yeah.
Because my sword, my left hand is so much closer, and even in the practice where I trained with guys so I played your role, and I found I could hit that arm really, really quite easily when you don't commit. So, and also found with I had to come in. I was taking a higher line. If you look back in the manuals, all of the postures aren't coming in generally at that line. They're coming in high. I'm using the shoulder to brace. So that was also helping me pin that shoulder down. Where in spear we can kind of come from this.
And at one time you did do a single-handed.
That was from.
I felt like I got in on that one. I had to go back and look at the tape. But
that was McLennan's manual. So I got that from a manual that was a fire out.
Right.
Get that. And we had this discussion before we started. Could I control that?
Yeah.
It's a full-on commit. I couldn't have deflected after that. But I've got that reach, that nice reach out, but I couldn't have. I'd had to really
It's getting it back. Yeah,
that was interesting.
So it's interesting to use a more period-accurate weapon, because the trainers that commercially available are generally much lighter. So we wanted this to be as historically accurate as we could be. So
this is so much different to play with. We've got a couple of the Black Fencer synthetics, and
really different.
They're so much faster, which makes it real hard for the swordsman to deal with. But these, with the extra weight behind this, you can't move it around as quickly. So it made it a lot more of an even match. I think if you'd have had one of the Black Fencers, I think it wouldn't have been as even.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll try it again, maybe.
But this is period. This is what they would have got. But I wouldn't have done anywhere near as much damage to you if I'd have got you with a lighter one.
Indeed. Well, interesting. I hope you found it as interesting and as fun as we did. If you do, we always appreciate that thumbs up, and hit the hype button and all those things. Subscribe, helps us build the channel, helps us bring you more. Until next time, everybody, thank you, Gavin. Stay strong, everybody. Jian.